Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, October 23rd. Good to see you this morning, and thank you for joining us. And I'm back from New Orleans. Let me tell you something. Under Mayor Mitch Landrieu, New Orleans is back. It is back. It is better and better than ever. You got to go down there and check it out. What a great city. Love it, love it, love it. Meanwhile, back here in D.C., the Department of Health and Human Services under Kathleen Sebelius is scrambling to fix that website, but everybody is still asking, how the hell did they manage to screw it up, and how could that have happened? After all, this is President Obama's signature accomplishment, the Affordable Care Act. It is something they've been working on for 3 years. It's the most important program of the entire administration, and somehow they managed to screw it all up. I mean, didn't they test ahead of time before they launched? And what I wonder is, why didn't they just do the smart thing? There are people around who know how to do websites, and people ordering lots of stuff on websites. Why didn't they just subcontract this out to Jeff Bezos at Amazon, or to the good folks at ProFlowers, or what the hell, even to Walmart or Costco? They should have. In other news, the latest Washington Post ABC poll shows that Congress now has a rating of only 12%. Only 12% of Americans approve of the job Congress is doing. In other news, 12% of Americans are either related to a member of Congress or are a paid staffer for a member of Congress. And in USA Today, 48% of all Americans say we'd be better off if we just threw every Republican and Democrat in Congress out. Just clean house and start from scratch. And the World Series gets underway today. All of that coming up right here on The Bill Press Show.
This is The Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww. You should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork. Loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
you stand up against our greatest threat? Did you commit to change the world?
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, good morning. What do you say? Happy Wednesday. Kathleen Sebelius says we got the best and the brightest in, and we're going to fix this mess. Yeah, it's about time. I hope so. Great to see everybody. Good morning. We are back here in the driver's seat on a Wednesday morning, October 23rd, coming to you live, as always, from our studio here on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., bringing you up to date on all the efforts here to get back on track in Washington with healthcare and a lot of other things. We'll also tell you what's going on around the country and around the globe. And then we'll sit back and wait for your calls. Well, we won't sit back. We'll just keep going and look forward to hearing from you by phone at 866-55-PRESS or on Twitter at BP Show and on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. Great to see you today. A little drizzly here in Washington, D.C. Otherwise, it's a good day. And it is great to be back with you to see our team here, Peter Ogburn and Dan Henning. Hello, guys.
We missed you, Bill. Welcome back,
Oh,
Bill.
yeah, right.
Happy to have you back. It's not the same when you're not here.
Did you behave while I was gone, kiddies?
Of course not.
Behave is a strong word.
Why would we behave? We don't do it when you're here.
Alicia Cruz is here. She's got the phones covered, and Cyprian Bolding, as always, on the job with the video cam, keeping us looking good on Free Speech TV. Remember, we are number one, your morning radio show on your local progressive talk radio station, starting the day the liberal way. We're also seen on Free Speech TV, our radio show carried on Free Speech TV, which you can get on your satellite dish, of course, at DirecTV or Dish Network. And you can watch the video stream, if that's your pleasure, at TawkrTV, youtube.com/TawkrTV.
TAWKR.
That's right. TAWKR.
You got it.
That's how everybody spells Talker.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, everyone should know that by now.
Right. Well, big thank you to you, Peter, and to Clinton Yates for holding down the fort while I was gone.
Happy to help
yourself there. Yep.
Happy to help.
Got good reviews, good comments, as always. And I have to tell you, New Orleans.
Oh, man.
Oh, God. Well, two things. First, I was out in Santa Monica first for the memorial service for a very, very wonderful friend of mine, Sidney Galanti, who passed away. And by the way, one of the other speakers there, Sid was a wonderful friend, a wonderful producer, and very talented. He not only did a lot of great progressive causes in California, all the spots for those, like the Save the Coastline initiative, the anti-tobacco company initiatives, the anti-oil company initiatives, Saving the Forest. He did the campaign that shut down a nuclear power plant in Sacramento, California.
Wow.
Great guy. He also did the Jane Fonda workout videos.
Wait a minute. Really?
Yes. Still today, the number one best-selling video ever. The Jane Fonda workout.
Wow.
And he produced them. Yeah. Very talented guy.
No kidding.
Great guy. And Jane was there. I hadn't seen her in a while. And she and I both spoke on Saturday. Then back to New Orleans. I was in By the way, I learned how to pronounce it. You know, some people say New Orleans. No. New Orleans. the mayor, I was with the mayor and introduced the mayor. I was there for 2 days with the American Bankers Association. Community bankers across the country. These are not the bad guys on Wall Street. These are the good guys in every community across the country. They're great people. But the mayor was there, Mitch Landrieu, who has done a phenomenal job bringing, and I learned from him, the local correct pronunciation is New Orleans.
Yes.
New Orleans.
That is correct.
It's hard to say, but it's New Orleans.
New Orleans.
It's not New Orleans. It's not New Orleans, which I say. New Orleans.
New Orleans.
New Orleans. And New Orleans is back, bigger and better and better than ever. It's just, there's so much, it's sort of people just let loose in New Orleans. And the food is great. It's a beautiful city. It's really, really come back. Still a long way to go, but it's coming back. And shops are open. I mean, new shops, new stores, new restaurants, new hotels.
Yeah,
great.
I try and get back as often as I can. It's awesome. And you're right. It was obviously hit very hard, and they did a great job building back. And it's still, even when times were not great around the country, New Orleans was doing pretty well.
Yeah,
because people wanted to come down there and see and visit, and they're very accepting of people to come down there.
Yes, and when you go to New Orleans, you have to do what I did. It is a tourist stop, but it is so good. You have to go to the Acme Oyster Bar. You start your visit there, and get the charcoal grilled oysters.
That's it.
And then you are ready to go.
You can go wherever you want after that. You know what I found out last time I was there is there's a web camera over the Oyster Bar at Acme, the one there on Bourbon Street. So you could go on to Acme's website.
It's in Iberville. It's right off of Bourbon.
Yeah. And you can watch. And you can watch live because it starts early. I mean, people get there early to start eating oysters. And you can watch the web stream. I didn't think of that while you were there, or else I might have seen you. And whatever state you might have been in. Frequently people show up in various states at the Acme Oyster Bar right off of Bourbon. So.
All right, so here we go. We got a big show for you today. Congressman Keith Ellison is going to be with us. David Brock, the founder of Media Matters, they've got a new book out about the Benghazi hoax. He's going to be along as well. And Bob Borosage, director of the Campaign for America's Future, among our guests this morning, and still trying to untangle those health exchanges. But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
On this Wednesday, other headlines making news. Anthony Weiner's story is heading to TV, not in one, but two upcoming dramas, both Scandal on ABC and Law & Order SVU on NBC.
I'm sorry, who?
What?
Whose story?
Anthony Weiner.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, right.
They are presenting ripped from the headlines episodes loosely based on the former mayoral candidate's troubles. Politico reports that on the next episode of Scandal, the crisis manager Olivia Pope, played by Kerry Washington, her client is a sexting lawmaker caught with his pants down. And on the next episode of SVU, a politician who wants to be mayor of New York City is accused of sending lewd photos of himself to a girl online. His pseudonym is Enrique Trouble, very similar to Carlos Danger.
Oh,
really?
God. Oh, they could have done better than that. Yeah.
Really?
I think it's brilliant. It's never good to insult your bosses or people that you work with, especially on Twitter, and especially when you work for the government. The Daily Beast and Politico report that after a several-month-long investigation, the White House fired a member of its National Security Council non-proliferation team for running a parody Twitter account under the handle @NatSecWonk. Jofi Joseph is his name. He tweeted with it for 2 years, insulting members of the president's national security team and the State Department, criticizing policy and the intellect of the people that he worked with on a daily basis.
How did he get away with it for that long?
Took him a while to track him down. I mean, anyone can
there's the
Twitter
anonymity of Twitter. I mean, you can create a parody or fake account, and you don't have to give your actual name.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know how he was managing to do this. Yeah, you think the White House
they would know that was an insider, right?
Been doing it, since 2011. They caught onto it, and it took them a couple of months to figure out who
how they
it was.
finally caught him. I'd be curious to know.
Yeah.
Lucky that didn't get thrown over.
And in sports, the 109th Baseball World Series kicks off tonight between the Boston Red Sox and the St. Louis Cardinals, who have evenly matched regular season records, both league-leading 97 wins, 65 losses. John Lester takes them out at Fenway Park for the Red Sox against Adam Wainwright for the Cardinals to start the best-of-7 series.
I'm excited about this World Series.
I am too.
These are two really good teams. Yeah, I wanted my Dodgers in there, but
sure,
you know.
Well, the Cardinals, I think, are a very. I mean, I think they're honestly the more dominant team in terms of just skill level. But the Red Sox are so scrappy that anything could happen. Really, anything could happen.
One of the people I was hanging out with in New Orleans, Doris Kearns Goodwin.
Oh, wow.
Who is probably the best of our presidential historians. She is also a dyed-in-the-wool baseball fan. I mean, she wrote a great book about the Brooklyn Dodgers, because she grew up going to Brooklyn Dodgers games. And she said she's had Red Sox season tickets for 35 years.
Wow.
She and her husband, Richard Goodwin. Yeah, so she's very excited. Yeah,
Red Sox fans, they know real pain too. Like they were really bad.
Boy.
Then they got really good. They got really bad again.
No, they spent their 40 years in the desert. Hey, I'm telling you, yes, indeed, it is a mess here, and I know you've been talking about this with Peter, with Clinton Yates, and among yourselves over the health exchanges, but I haven't been able to get my whack in. You know, finally, 21 days after the launch, President Obama spoke out. Up until this time, the White House has just been saying, don't worry, yeah, we know there's a little problem. We're going to get it fixed. Finally, the president stepped into Rose Garden with some people who have signed up on the health exchanges Monday and said, hey, I just can't stand what's going on.
There's no sugarcoating it. The website has been too slow. People have been getting stuck during the application process. And I think it's fair to say that nobody's more frustrated by that than I am.
So for the last 2 weeks, Jay Carney has been telling us at the White House, well, we're working day and night. They're working day and night. The CMS and the HHS working day and night to fix it. And we're just, it's just a weekend. We got 6 months to go. Everything's going to be okay. Yesterday, they admitted they didn't trust the people in-house, or they didn't trust that Canadian contractor they hired to put this thing together. Why the hell do we have to hire a contractor from Canada to especially on healthcare, to create the website under which everybody was signing for the health exchanges? Boy. Anyhow, we did. Carney again said, "No, don't worry, we got it. We got everything. Everything's under control." Well, it wasn't under control. So, finally, yesterday they admitted that they have now reached out to the private sector, bring in the best and the brightest to help. Kathleen Sebelius telling Anderson Cooper that last night.
Do you know when he first knew that there was a problem?
Dan, if I can, just getting ahead of myself. This is when they said they brought in the best and brightest, by the way, Verizon is heading it up. And then the question Sanjay Gupta asked Kathleen Sebelius is, when did the president know, did he know ahead of the launch that everything wasn't exactly tested and there might be some glitches? Now,
do you know when he first knew that there was a problem?
Well, I think it became clear fairly early on, the first couple of days.
So not before that, though? Not before October 1st? There was no concern at that point, either in the White House or at HHS?
I think that we talked about having testing going forward, and if we had an ideal situation and could have built a product in a 5-year period of time, we probably would have taken 5 years, but we didn't have 5 years.
Yeah, but they had 3 years. They had 3 years to get it right, and they didn't. But here is where she said, now we've reached out, we're bringing in the best and the brightest from the private sector.
We've asked all of our contractors to look at their teams on the ground and bring in their absolute A-team. I am talking to CEOs and urging them to make sure that we have the talent that they have available. We want new eyes and ears. We want to make sure that we get all the questions on the table, that we get all the answers, and accelerate the fix as quickly as possible.
All right, now I love your take on this and what's going on, 866-55-PRESS. And we got to say this. Look, the Affordable Care Act is still a great achievement, okay? It's not as good as we wanted it, but it is a great achievement. It is in place. It must remain in place. It is going to prove to be, I think, one of the signature accomplishments not only of this administration, but of the federal government ever, along with Social Security and Medicare. And as President Obama said, it's about a lot more than just a website, and we've got to remember that. So the idea that this is a reason for scrapping affordable care, forget those are guys. They're the Ted Cruzes of this world. But at the same time, those of us who support President Obama, those of us who support the Affordable Care Act and know how important it is, have got to say, what the hell went wrong? This is totally unacceptable. I don't know about you. I am sick and tired of hearing the excuses for not getting this right. They should have hired the right contractor. They should have tested and tested and tested and tested. You can't say that we have to pass health care because millions and millions of America need it and then say, oh, we're surprised that so many people signed up because they want health care. I mean, it just doesn't add up. This is inexcusable. And I think some heads have to roll on this matter. What's your take on it? 866-55-PRESS. 866-55-77377. And forget about the fact that the only thing that went wrong was too many people rushed to the site. No, the site was not ready. Why didn't they contract this out to Amazon? Why didn't let Amazon do it? Or ProFlowers? They know what they're doing. They can handle orders like this. Or Walmart. What the hell? No excuses. So what do we do now? Let's talk about it. 866-55-PRESS.
Follow us on Twitter @BP Show. This is The Bill Press Show.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Columbine, Virginia Tech,
Tucson,
Aurora,
Fort Hood, Oak Creek,
Newtown.
Newtown,
Newtown.
Newtown.
How many more?
How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough.
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 Demand a plan.
Right now. As a mom.
As a dad. As a friend. As a husband.
As a wife.
As an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook.
Demand a plan. No more lists of names. It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more.
If we had just done something yesterday. It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act.
Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 None of us would want to be told we can't marry the person we love. As Americans, we believe in freedom. That's what I fought for as a Marine, and that's what we believe in as Republicans. Freedom means freedom for everyone. I didn't used to understand the importance of same-sex marriage, but after learning my brother was gay, I wanted the same rights for him. He was the best man at my wedding, and I want to be the best man at his. It's only fair that Calvin should have the freedom to marry the person he loves, too.
It's time for marriage.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
This is my computer.
This is the Bill Press Show.
President Obama's got a mess on his hands, and I think they got to stop defending HHS here and just say, look, who's responsible and who ought to get the blame, and absolutely give them a time deadline. And this is going to be fixed by next Monday, or you're out of here. And again, by the way, look, we have 6 months to go for people to sign up, so nothing really to panic about. We've got the entire Affordable Health Care Act, which is just going to get bigger and better the more time that passes. But this launch was so important that there's no excuse for not getting it right. None. Bob, in San Jose, California, listening on KNEW. Hey, Bob, good morning.
Yeah, I've got there's a detail that I think a lot of people are missing, and that is this isn't just one exchange. This is a state-by-state exchange, and every one of those Republican governors that said, we're not setting up an exchange, means that the federal government has to conduct the exchange for that state.
Right, but there are 36 states actually involved in this one health exchange, right?
Yeah, but it's not one health exchange. It's 30 separate health exchanges.
Yeah, but once you tell them what state you don't have to deal with 36 states, and no individual has to deal with 36 states, Bob, right? You click on your state, and then it takes
36 separate exchanges set up.
Okay, all right. So, on Amazon, you can buy 5,000 different products. Yeah, I mean, design the system to handle it. Michelle's calling from Los Angeles on K-Talk. Hey, Michelle, good morning.
Hi. Of course, the Republicans, though, didn't release the funding for them to do the technical specifications until like this spring. So for them to come to, and of course, it was much more complicated than they thought it was going to be because the Republican governors wouldn't, allow, they had to set up all these exchanges. But a lot of it really was the Republicans holding up funding so that they're trying to get this website together within basically 6 months.
Yeah, well, Michelle, I got to tell you, I love y'all. I'd like to blame this on George Bush, too. You can't blame it on George Bush. You have to blame this on HHS.
The Bill Press Show.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
Eye cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing dot, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
Jason Gilbert from Yahoo News will be joining us in the next segment to talk about the big launch yesterday of the new iPad. I didn't get one yet. Did you get one yet?
No, I didn't get one yet. No,
okay.
not yet.
All right. Right now we're talking about...
I like to give it a couple of hours before I buy a new product.
Right now we're talking about the big mess on our hands with the launch of the health exchanges October 1. Fortunately for the administration, that happened the same day as the government shutdown. So for over 2 weeks, there was very little attention paid to the health exchanges. You would think they would have taken advantage of that time to get it fixed, but they didn't. There's still problems. I'm sorry. I don't want to hear any more excuses. I don't want to hear anybody make any more excuses or blame it on Dick Cheney or blame it on John Boehner. This is the Obama administration's failure to get it right. And I think some heads have to roll. Peter.
One of the things that a lot of people are saying on Twitter, where we're tweeting at BP Show, they agree that there's a problem with the website, but there's a lot of good to come out of the ACA.
I think I made that point, and that is an important point.
Yeah.
The ACA stands as an important law and has to be defended and made to last forever.
Perry Reunions has a little bit of a disagreement. It says Amazon and ProFlowers, which you mentioned they should maybe have thought about letting them run the operation. Amazon and ProFlowers don't roll out to millions of people at one time, and they don't roll out one product. It's not something this complex.
Well, I think I think the fact that they roll out so many products,
so many things, you could get anything on Amazon.
Yeah, proves that they got it down. They know what they're doing. I think that's an argument for Amazon. And by the way, they don't offer it to millions of people at one time. Oh, yes, they do.
Absolutely do.
Check out their traffic.
Worldwide, by the way, not just in America.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah. Cherie Hernandez says Democrats complaining about the website are aiding in the Republican narrative that Obamacare is a failure.
All right, so just stick your head in the sand and say, there's no problem. Oh, no. Sometimes... Let me just tell you something, friends. Sometimes you just got to admit when you screwed up. You got to do it. And the president did that to his credit on Monday. You just can't, don't look for excuses. Sometimes you just got to fess up. Mary is out in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, watching on Free Speech TV. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Good to hear from you.
Kathleen Sebelius needs to go. It happened on her watch. You debug and you beta test until your eyes fall out when you build a website. Programming 101.
Yeah. I'm not going to join you on calling for her firing or resignation or whatever. She's a good person, but I think whoever she put in charge of this ought to. I don't know who that is, by the way. I have no idea who that is. That person hasn't been identified. And I think the contractor. I'll tell you one thing. I don't know how much they paid this contractor. I've seen a figure. I mean, it was
in Canadian dollars, nonetheless.
Yeah, in Canadian dollars, $52 million or something, whatever it was. Yeah, if they haven't paid the whole bill, I hope they haven't.
They should sue them.
Exactly, Mary. I would sue them and stop payment right now. Don't pay whatever's left. Don't pay the rest of it.
Yeah.
Let's jump out to Las Vegas. Hello, Jim. Good morning.
Hey, Bill, welcome back. But your kids misbehaved all while you were gone. Man.
Oh, no. Uh-oh.
What can I say?
Hey,
anyway,
try not to.
You got him, Jim. I'm glad you told me. Parents always respect the neighbors.
Hey, Jim. Snitches get stitches, buddy.
Hey, Bill, call me later on, and I'll tell you all about it.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, what did you think about this screw up with the health exchange?
Bill, I got a message from Windows last week that they had a new update for my Windows 8 computer. 4 hours later, after downloading, it crashed my computer. This is Windows, the computer people.
Wow.
I read in the paper yesterday, the iPhone had the same thing. They had an update, and it crashed. We have a saying out here in Vegas, stuff happens, just let it go. Get it fixed as fast as possible, like the president said the other day, and get it going. I had nothing but good experiences here in Vegas. I'm all hooked up now, starting January 1st.
Good.
I was on it 3 times out here. I was on the first day. I had no problems with the links. And I was on 3 days later when I looked at the policies, and then the third day, not in a row, but a week later, I got all signed up, and it worked perfectly for me.
So, you know what? I'm glad to hear that. Jim, you should have been in the Rose Garden with Barack Obama. on Monday. That's good to hear. And there are good stories like that.
We talked to somebody yesterday who had a very positive experience in getting it done.
The president had some people with him in the Rose Garden who had said, so, yeah, I mean, you don't expect it to be, it's pretty complicated. You don't expect it to be all that easy, I guess. And you know what? If they fix this, what would you say, Peter, within a week? Certainly, if they fix it within a week, nobody will be talking about this anymore.
I agree. Yeah, I'd say if they've got this done within a week. Yeah, that sounds about right.
You might stretch it to 10 days, but they got to get it fixed fast. And then we got 6 months. People are going to sign up. And I think the other thing that Jay Carney said yesterday, which, again, I was in New Orleans. It wasn't the briefing yesterday, but I read the transcript of the briefing. It's pretty clear that if this continues, which it can't, and if people have a problem and are unable to get health insurance because of the website, they're not going to get penalized. They're not going to get fined because they haven't bought their health insurance. So there is that flexibility. Hopefully, we'll never get to that point. Out in Chicago, hey, Kevin, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, hey, Bill, how you doing?
Good.
Hey, I got to echo the sentiments of a bunch of the previous callers. First of all, we got to get off this whole thing here. We're playing right into the puke's hands on this deal, okay? I mean, let's face it, the states that embrace the expansion of Medicaid and set up their own exchanges, they're not having a problem. This is the exchanges for the people that the Republican governors that didn't do it, that were sabotaging it from the beginning, okay? So, the people of those states that are having trouble need to be asking their legislature, hey, why didn't you take this? Why didn't you provide this health care for us, okay? And I think how much of what we as Democrats, we just want to stuff it in their ass that this works, okay? We're not giving it a chance. I mean, if the iPhone or any other techno gadget has a glitch on it, okay, no problem. We'll just keep going until it gets done, okay? I mean,
Apple got a little grief with their with their last iPhone, Kevin.
Yeah,
remember the iPhone when they had all that?
Yeah, they had a couple iPhones ago. Yeah, they had to come out and apologize for it.
Yeah, and they did.
But I mean, look at the size and the scope of this thing that they're trying to do here. And again, do you think the administration figured out in the beginning that 30-something states were going to reject it?
Well, they certainly knew before October 1st that 36 states would. And look, you make a good point, but I don't think that given all of that, you have to realize, again, this is the number one thing that President Obama has accomplished in his administration. Number one. And they had to know that everybody was going to be watching this. And they had to know that millions and millions of Americans, having waited for 3 years, would be jumping in. This was something we could not afford to get wrong. I think people, they didn't give it enough attention at HHS. It's colossally embarrassing. It should not have happened. I'm not turning my back on Obama, or I'm not turning my back on the Affordable Care Act. I'm just being honest. This is a big effing deal.
BFD.
It's a BFD. Right. All right. One more here. Danny from Bluefield, West Virginia. I love it. Hey, Danny.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Yes, sir. What's up?
I've got some information you're not going to want to hear, but it's the truth if you want to really address this problem. Number one, I'm a Quebecer. I know CGI, Centre de Gestion Internationale. They were founded with money from the Quebec government. They've done a series of jobs that they've screwed up every one they've ever done.
I heard that. I've heard that they were fired from some big job in Canada.
They've got multiple government websites that just don't work, in the healthcare field and other government functions. They've got 5 million lines of really bad code, and the government has made it worse, as they always do. They give a set of parameters to the contracting company, and then every month they come back and they change the parameters. And they say, well, we want you to add this, and we want you to add this, and we want you to add this. After a few months, the company says, look, if you wanted all this stuff, you should have told us in the first place. It's like you built a foundation for a 2-story building, and then you come back and say, we want a 10-story building instead. It just doesn't work, okay? Now, here's the real problem. The president has stepped in personally. Before he could blame CGI and HHS, etc. Now the president is forming his dream team. He's bringing in experts from all over the government sector and the private sector, and he's taking personal responsibility, and we're going to get it fixed really quick. There are 5 million lines of bad code. It's going to take months to go through. Almost every line of code works with every other line of code. It's got an interface with the IRS software, the HHS software.
Daddy, you obviously know a lot more about this than we do. But to me, everything you said, I accept it as true, just underscores why they went to the wrong company in the first place and didn't put enough attention and enough testing to make sure that this thing worked. The president has brought in Jeff Zients from OMB, who's a good guy, by the way, a good troubleshooter. If anybody can sort it out, he can. I'll tell you one thing, he just better get on top of it and get it sorted out fast. Speaking of internet, either marvels or problems, we're going to talk about the new iPad, find out all about that next here on The Bill Press Show.
This is The Bill Press Show.
So this is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Racing down, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
Thinner, lighter, more powerful than ever before, and incredibly, excitingly new in so many ways that it deserves a new name. We call it iPad Air.
This is the Bill Press Show.
And that is Phil Schiller. Phil Schiller, a vice president of Apple, introducing the new iPad yesterday. iPad Air. I love these Apple meetings. They get the crowd there. They're so excited. You know, it's like a big football game or something, right? Nobody in our crew here. I'm disappointed in all of you. Nobody went out and bought a new iPad Air yesterday.
Well, it's not on sale yet.
Really?
You can buy it on the website, right?
Yeah, you can order it, but they don't ship till November 1st.
Oh,
that's garbage, man. They should have it out.
I don't know. I'll bet Jason Gilbert has one.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's find out. Jason Gilbert's the tech editor for Yahoo. Hello, Jason. Good morning.
Good morning. I do not have an iPad Air.
Oh, man. I guess you can't
What good are you
handle.
then? What do you know?
Yeah, so what's different about this, and why should we go out and get one?
The big difference, as Air implies, is that it's a lot lighter. I mean, it went from 1.4 pounds to 1 pound, which it doesn't seem like a big difference, but I think when you get it in your hand, you're really going to feel
I have to
how
tell
much
you,
lighter it is.
my iPad, I don't know what it weighs, but when I put this in my briefcase, you've got a brick in there, right?
Yeah.
So the lighter one, I think that would appeal to me.
And if you try to hold it with one hand, I'm guessing your wrist gets kind of tired too.
He's a very strong man, though. You underestimate
You're
the power.
you've been working out, I can tell.
But is this now? We're talking iPad, not mini iPad, right?
That's right.
Yeah, and it's a whole. Does it have a whole new system? What are the advantages of? What can you tell us about it?
The iPad Air over the iPad Mini?
Yeah, no, the iPad Air over the
This iPad over the previous
over the
iPad.
previous iPad. Yeah.
Oh, I see. The weight's a big thing. There's a much faster processor inside, which apparently you're going to see just huge graphics boosts and huge speed boosts based on what Apple is saying. So I'd say those are the two really big differences between the last iPad.
Any idea about what it's going to cost? What the price difference is?
Same price. I mean, it's going to start at $500 for a Wi-Fi only model and go up to I think $630 for a Wi-Fi and 4G model.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. I was going to say T-Mobile announced something really cool. They're trying to sort of disrupt the cellular market, and they're offering free data plans for the new iPad up to 200 megabytes of data. So you just don't have to pay anything except service fees.
That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, that's a really good deal. I was looking for something to sort of really change the game on the iPad or on the tablet market. I don't know that they delivered that. I mean, sure, it's lighter. By the way, I'm of a mindset that I like something a little sturdier. I'm not exactly looking to downsize and get a smaller iPad.
One of the reasons they did this, isn't it, is because they're getting a lot of competition in the tablet market.
Huge competition, yeah. I mean, I think what they're seeing is their competitors sort of scoffed at the iPod when it came out and waited too long to release competitors. And they scoffed at the iPhone when it came out and waited too long to release competitors. And now the iPad is out, and you've seen Amazon and Google and Microsoft really jump on it and release really solid competitors really quickly. So there are a lot more options, and the iPad's seeing a lot better competition than the iPhone ever did in its early years.
Real quickly, Jason, just about out of time, but I got to ask you, they also unveiled Mavericks yesterday, this new operating system. That's for the Mac or for all their products or what?
It's for the Mac, and it's free, and I would be surprised if Microsoft didn't have to make Windows 8 free. I mean, no one even wants Windows 8 for money, so maybe they can move it by making it free.
Yeah. Mavericks. So anybody who's got a Mac can download that new operating system for free, huh? Yeah.
Anyone, as old as your Mac is, if it's 15 years old, you can still get Mavericks.
Wow. That's a big deal too.
Yeah. Pretty cool,
hey, Jason, good to have you with us this morning. Thank you for staying on top of this stuff and joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Jason Gilbert with Yahoo. It's yahoo.com/tech, and he's their tech editor reporter.
This is the Bill Press Show.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Columbine, Virginia Tech,
Tucson,
Aurora,
Fort Hood, Oak Creek,
Newtown.
Newtown,
Newtown.
Newtown.
How many more?
How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough.
Enough.
Enough. Enough.
Demand a plan.
Right now. As a mom.
As a dad, as a friend, as a husband,
As a wife.
as an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook.
Demand a plan. No more lists of names. It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more.
If we had just done something yesterday. It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act. Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 None of us would want to be told we can't marry the person we love. As Americans, we believe in freedom. That's what I fought for as a Marine, and that's what we believe in as Republicans. Freedom means freedom for everyone. I didn't used to understand the importance of same-sex marriage, but after learning my brother was gay, I wanted the same rights for him. He was the best man at my wedding, and I want to be the best man at his. It's only fair that Calvin should have the freedom to marry the person he loves, too.
It's time for marriage.
The Bill Press Show.
All right, in the next hour, Bob Borosage, co-director of Campaign for America's Future. I just got a quick thing about talking about this techie stuff. So at the American Bankers meeting in New Orleans, they were playing some music before the one session started, and I knew the group. I couldn't recognize, I couldn't remember it. And I asked one of the techies backstage. I just said, "Hey, who is that music?" And he said, "I don't know. You want me to cheat?" And he held up his cell phone, and then
did he Shazam it?
Yeah. He held his cell phone like that,
Awesome.
and then he looked at it. He said, "Oh, it's the Dixie Chicks."
I do that all the time.
And I had never heard of this app.
Shazam?
Shazam.
It's amazing.
I'm going to download it today. Shazam.
It's
And then anytime you hear anything playing, you'll know who's playing. Just hold up your iPhone.
Yeah.
This is the Bill Press Show.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, October 23rd. Good to see you this morning, and thank you for joining us. And I'm back from New Orleans. Let me tell you something. Under Mayor Mitch Landrieu, New Orleans is back. It is back. It is better and better than ever. You got to go down there and check it out. What a great city. Love it, love it, love it. Meanwhile, back here in D.C., the Department of Health and Human Services under Kathleen Sebelius is scrambling to fix that website, but everybody is still asking, how the hell did they manage to screw it up, and how could that have happened? After all, this is President Obama's signature accomplishment, the Affordable Care Act. It is something they've been working on for 3 years. It's the most important program of the entire administration, and somehow they managed to screw it all up. I mean, didn't they test ahead of time before they launched? And what I wonder is, why didn't they just do the smart thing? There are people around who know how to do websites, and people ordering lots of stuff on websites. Why didn't they just subcontract this out to Jeff Bezos at Amazon, or to the good folks at ProFlowers, or what the hell, even to Walmart or Costco? They should have. In other news, the latest Washington Post ABC poll shows that Congress now has a rating of only 12%. Only 12% of Americans approve of the job Congress is doing. In other news, 12% of Americans are either related to a member of Congress or are a paid staffer for a member of Congress. And in USA Today, 48% of all Americans say we'd be better off if we just threw every Republican and Democrat in Congress out. Just clean house and start from scratch. And the World Series gets underway today. All of that coming up right here on The Bill Press Show.
This is The Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look, your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently?
to celebrate the victory? Did you take a chance?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Did you commit to change the world?
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
President Obama says they brought in the best and brightest, and they're going to fix this mess. Yeah, well, they'd better. Quick. Hey, good morning, everybody. What do you say? Good to be back here, and good to see you on a Wednesday, October 23rd. It is the Bill Press Show, and we are booming out to you live from our nation's capital and our studio on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., with the news of your nation's capital, around the country, around the globe. Don't forget, it's a two-way street here. Look forward to hearing from you on the issues of the day at 866-55-PRESS. That's our toll-free number. You can also join us send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show and on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. Got the whole team assembled here. I'm the one who's been gone. Peter Ogburn, and with the help of Clinton Yates, filling in for the last couple of days. Peter?
Nice to have you back, sir.
All right.
Good to see you.
I know you don't feel as important today sitting over there.
I'll just stay over here.
I think you could handle
keep
it.
my mouth shut. Nice to have you back.
Yeah, right.
I like when you're here. Everyone else likes when you're here.
Peter Ogburn, Dan Henning here, as always.
Good morning.
747 with Alicia Cruz, standing by to take the phone calls. And the unheard but often seen Cyprian Bolding here. He gets the big wave. He's our videographer, keeping us looking good on the video cam. And with so much going on, we need the help of some friends. Bob Borosage is a good friend. He is the co-director of the Campaign for America's Future, one of the great progressive organizations in the country today, out there in front on many issues. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning.
Great to see you.
Good to be here.
We had a sort of a lopsided football game out in Texas, Bob. I don't know if you heard about it. Alito High School. Who are they playing? Do we even know?
It's another team
high school.
It's another high school in Texas.
It was a little one-sided. The score was 91-0. And we were all asking earlier, I mean, why the hell wouldn't you just stop like at 51?
Right, the 51 rule.
Or something like that. You know what I mean? You get to a certain point where, But the coach, Alito High School, Tim Buchanan, he defended rolling the score up.
There was nothing unfair about it other than the fact that our players were better than their players.
God, it just sounds like a Texan.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. And then some people said, well, wouldn't you just say, hey guys, we obviously have won this game. Let's slow down a little bit. Tim said, no way.
I would never ask our kids not to play hard. I would never tell them, I'll go out there and let them score. That's not what you want to teach kids.
Yeah.
It's also, I mean, you don't have to let them score, but you also don't have to keep going. I mean, my favorite football team is the Alabama Crimson Tide. We have a great tradition of running the score up on opponents. Just last week, we beat Arkansas 52-0. 52-0 is like in the third quarter, you pull your starters and you give other people a chance to play.
But did they put in their fourth team? Do we know?
Well, they did, but their fourth string is just as good as the starters for the other team.
What for?
Well, no. I'm talking about for the high school team that won 91-0. But at some point, just say, just run the ball. You don't have to throw for long touchdowns. Just slow it down.
So, Bob, one of the parents of the losing team has actually filed a grievance complaint saying this amounted to bullying. No, I just think it amounted to losing badly. Huh? Yeah. Although I wouldn't. I still think the coach should have let up a little bit. I mean, come on. I would have been happy to win.
All parts of the American character. Stomp on them forever and litigate thereafter.
That's right. God bless America. Here we go. Yes, indeed. So Bob is here for the first half hour. We will be joined a little bit later by David Bruck from Media Matters, and then Congressman Keith Ellison from Minnesota. But first, Dan's got the big stories of the day.
Full Court Press.
Other headlines making news on this Wednesday. The Washington Monument is covered in scaffolding for construction, and soon the U.S. Capitol will have the same look. The Capitol Dome is set to go into a 2-year, $60 million restoration project, the first of such magnitude since 1959. The Hill reports the dome has over 1,000 cracks and deficiencies and has started leaking. The architect of the Capitol is overseeing the project.
You know, I have never lived anywhere where there is more like reconstruction. Or the Supreme Court has been under reconstruction for like the last 2 years. It's still got a big...
I think they just dropped it yesterday.
Did they? This drape they've had in front of it, the Washington Monument, now the U.S. Capitol. I mean, is anything... The Jefferson Memorial was closed for a while. Is anything ever fixed around here?
I will say, I think
it's good that they keep these buildings up.
Yeah. You know. I prefer the look of the Washington Monument with the scaffolding. I wonder how the Capitol is going to look with it on there.
Yeah, they put some renderings up online. Actually, the Hill newspaper put up about a bunch of renderings.
It looks kind of cool.
Yeah.
Well, these are beautiful old buildings, though, and naturally they take a beating over time.
Sure, yeah.
It's all about...
Now, I think it's great to keep them up. It's just, it seems, I've never seen, everywhere you look, right there.
The bigger problem is we keep building new things on the mall. And as an old Washington resident, we've turned the mall from what used to be green fields and places for people to play softball and hang out into one monument after another. We keep doing that, it's going to be a grotesquerie eventually.
I think it's getting close, really.
Anderson Cooper might have been a communist leader somewhere in the world had things turned out differently when he was in college. The CNN host spoke to a group of students at American University a couple of days ago, talking about how he studied communism while at Yale because he thought it was a safe career bet, thinking it would be around. But then he graduated in 1989, the same year that the Berlin Wall fell, so he had to reconsider his career path. U.S. News reports he created a fake press pass, borrowed someone's camera, and started going to cover wars himself until someone eventually hired him.
His career path would have been a lot different. He would have been on MSNBC instead of CNN.
Ouch.
Sorry.
And the entire royal family is getting together for the first time since Prince William and Kate had their baby, Prince George, in July. The 3-month-old is being christened today by the Archbishop of Canterbury in a break with tradition in front of only about 60 guests. Normally, it's a much larger ceremony. Also, it'll happen in the St. James Palace in the chapel instead of traditionally at the Buckingham Palace.
Another good move by Prince William and Kate, keeping things a little bit more low-key. Thank you, Dan, indeed. Bob Borosage, good to have you with us this morning. I always enjoy your work and reading your work, and I was flying to the West Coast on Friday, catching up on some copies of The Nation magazine that I hadn't read yet. And I was very, very interested to see your piece on the Democratic Party's new insurgents. So, you report that there's some new life and new blood on the progressive side of the equation. Huh?
Yeah, a lot of this has been ignored as we watch the Republican Party implode and shut down the government and then form their own circular firing squad and start shooting at each other. But on the Democratic side, even though they were totally unified against the idiocies of Senator Cruz and the Tea Party Republicans, there is the beginnings of a very large debate about where the country ought to go, particularly around economics. And you see it with some of the most attractive leaders in the Senate: Elizabeth Warren, Sherrod Brown, Jeff Merkley, Senator Whitehouse, Tammy Baldwin. And these are people who are leading the beginnings of a revolt, really, against the dominant economics of the Democratic Party since Clinton.
Bernie Sanders, you could put on that list, too.
Bernie Sanders, to be sure, which has been forged really out of the Wall Street wing of the party, the dominant economics, by Bob Rubin and his acolytes. And the first kind of casualty in the war, if you will, has been Larry Summers, when the president,
thank God,
trotted out the notion of nominating Larry Summers to head the Federal Reserve. This was really to lock in one of the great acolytes of Bob Rubin, someone who not only was for Wall Street economics, but had profited from it in the revolving door of going in and out of government. Led by Sherrod Brown and Jeff Merkley and others, the revolt against that nomination was really quite surprising and quite strong, to the point where finally Summers decided he better withdraw his nomination because the fight would be too brutal.
Wasn't it disappointing for Barack Obama to even consider, and sort of out of sync for him to even consider Larry Summers, or was it?
No, I don't think it's out of sync. It's been disappointing for a long time. Obama came into office really as we saw the collapse of Rubinomics and Reaganomics. That is, the conservative economics of the last 30 years went bankrupt in the fall of the economy and the implosion caused by Wall Street's excesses. And so it was a time for a very different kind of economics. And in the beginning, Obama laid out elements of that economics, but he surrounded himself with Clinton's economic team. Summers, Geithner, Furman, and a range of others who come out of Bob Rubin's lap and the team that put together new democratic economics under Clinton. And the elements of that economics, deregulating Wall Street, free trade that really let multinationals run us blind, kind of concern about growth but no concern about inequality or how the rewards were shared, kind of scorn for organized labor. All of those elements were part of the failure. And yet this team under Obama, of which Summers was certainly a leader, has really preserved a lot of that economics to the extent they could in the ashes.
So we have the defeat of the possible nomination of Larry Summers as one of the signs of this new activity. And we talk often here with Sherrod Brown, and we've just once interviewed Elizabeth Warren, but Bernie Sanders, a frequent guest. They're making their mark in the Senate. In New York, we also see an emerging economic progressive, right? And Bill de Blasio.
Right, and this shows the political potency of this position, this new populist insurgency, which is de Blasio running in Bloomberg's New York. Really went after the mayor. He pitched his campaign as an underdog.
Totally the anti-Bloomberg.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was totally around populist themes. He's promised to raise taxes on the very wealthy and put that money into preschool for all kids in New York. He promised to force landlords building high-rent condos to put aside money for affordable housing at the same time. So he promised to end the kind of stop and frisk, stop everybody who looks like they might be a person of color on the street policies in New York, and go back to a policing that focused on serious crimes. And so this notion that he came from way back, he was the clear underdog, really almost off the charts, to win handily in the Democratic primary, and he will win in a couple weeks in the general.
He's still got like a 50% lead in the general. Right.
It kind of shows, and New York City is an interesting microcosm in some ways. You know, it has hundreds of thousands of millionaires, but half the population is in poverty. And so this is the kind of America that's getting built out of this terribly inequitable system of rewards we have, and this is the beginnings of a populist politics, it seems to me, that may spread.
So where does this lead? Does this lead to kind of a total change in the Democratic Party and Democratic Party politics? And
well, it's going to be a huge fight.
It's not the dominant factor yet. In the
it's going to be a huge fight. You've got the Wall Street wing with lots of money and very attractive people over there, attracted by the easy road to politics. So, Cory Booker, who just won the Senate nomination in New Jersey, is famous or infamous, depending on your politics, for chastising Obama for even mentioning that Romney worked for an equity fund that carved up companies. So you've got the Wall Street wing. It will have a lot of money and a lot of very attractive candidates. On the other hand, what's interesting is the beginnings of a formation where you've got the most attractive leadership in the Senate, progressives like Keith Ellison will be on this show, and an agenda coming out of the House Progressive Caucus. The leaders of the rising American electorate, that is the Obama majority of women, people of color, and young people who are sinking in this economy and need a different kind of economic policy. And then the organized base of the party and organized labor, Move On, the online activists, et cetera. All of those can be consolidated now around a much more populist economics than the president has thus far been representing. And I think you will see this emerging in fights over issues. So if we come out with the Pacific Trade Accord that the president's now negotiating, which is basically a NAFTA on steroids, if you will, a free trade accord that gives the multinationals more scope to ship jobs abroad and more protections for their investments abroad, and puts America once more into a competition with low-wage labor across the world. I think you're going to see a huge fight around that. And there are going to be these kind of fundamental fights about the nature of our economic policy that we haven't really seen in America for a while. We've been fighting off the barbarians of the right. We haven't had a serious fight about where the country ought to go yet, and this is going to be the emergence of that fight.
Oh, yeah, I look forward to that fight. That's great. And it's people like Sherrod Brown and Keith Ellison and others and Bernie Sanders who have been fighting the good fight, and now they've got a lot of allies with them. You mentioned jobs. What about the latest job numbers, and will we get to focus for the Democratic Party and for the Congress back on jobs? Bob Borosage is with us. You can join us at 866-55-PRESS. Your questions, your comments on this new emerging populism and progressivism among Democrats. Give us a call. We'll talk about it more when we come back.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Columbine, Virginia Tech,
Tucson,
Aurora,
Fort Hood, Oak Creek,
Newtown.
Newtown,
Newtown.
Newtown.
How many more?
How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough.
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 Demand a plan.
Right now. As a mom.
As a dad. As a friend. As a husband.
As a wife.
As an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook.
Demand a plan. No more lists of names. It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more.
If we had just done something yesterday. It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act.
Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 None of us would want to be told we can't marry the person we love. As Americans, we believe in freedom. That's what I fought for as a Marine, and that's what we believe in as Republicans. Freedom means freedom for everyone. I didn't used to understand the importance of same-sex marriage, but after learning my brother was gay, I wanted the same rights for him. He was the best man at my wedding, and I want to be the best man at his. It's only fair that Calvin should have the freedom to marry the person he loves, too.
It's time for marriage.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Marin Cogan from the National Journal joins us in the next segment to talk a little bit about Ted Cruz and how he fares after the shutdown fiasco. Bob Borosage from the Campaign for America's Future here is in studio with us, talking economy, talking jobs, talking whole new life to the progressive side of the Democratic Party. As Paul Wellstone used to say, I'm the
Democratic wing of the Democratic Party.
Democratic wing of the. I mean, how could you say it any better than that?
Exactly.
Right? And you know what it means. Right. And it wasn't apologetic to be a Democrat. He didn't feel that he had to move to the middle or become a quasi-Republican in order to be an acceptable Democrat.
I didn't come to Washington to represent the drug companies. They're already well represented. Right?
Yeah, absolutely, boy. Job numbers came out yesterday, 148,000 new jobs in September, something to celebrate?
Well, these are the job numbers before the damage done in the government shutdown, and they are very mediocre. That's barely enough jobs to cover new people coming into the jobs market. And worse, the participation rate, that is the percentage of the population that is working or the percentage of the labor force that's employed, those are all very stagnant and basically a little down over the course of the year. So we have an economy that is simply not making up the ground lost in the Great Recession. We've got 20 million people still in need of full-time work. When you have that kind of mass unemployment, it almost certainly ensures that wages will not go up. Employers can be tough on their workers. Wage stagnation will continue. Families will continue losing ground. Inequality will continue to grow. You know, in the first 3 years coming out of the recession, the top 5% captured all of the rewards of growth. All.
Oh, whoa.
Everybody else basically lost ground on average. You can't sustain a democratic society with that kind of growing inequality. So these are fundamental questions. And then you have the yahoos shutting down the government, leading us to the edge of default, which are not in these numbers. So the next numbers will be worse, and this economy will slow even further. And, you know, people kind of have this sense, well, we're on recovery, on the right track. We're under 2% growth. We're closer to going back to recession than we are to going into health. And this economy needs real work.
Bob Boris says, thanks so much for coming about. Campaign for America's Future. Great. Keep track of all they're doing at ourfuture.org. We'll be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing down, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
Like politics? Then like The Bill Press Show on Facebook. This is The Bill Press Show.
Here we go. It's 33 minutes after the hour now here on The Bill Press Show this Wednesday morning, October 23rd. Coming to you live from Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. Brought to you today by the International Association of Sheet Metal, Air, Rail, and Transportation Workers. The good men and women of the SMART Union, that's what they call themselves, the SMART Union under President Joseph Nigro, giving a fair day's work for a fair day's pay, you bet. And you can find out more information about their good work in all those different fields of sheet metal, air, rail, and transportation by going to their website, smart-union.org. Well, the shutdown is temporarily over, and the man who engineered it and who came up with this whole plan of the way to kill Obamacare was to just shut down the entire government. Ted Cruz, now the subject of a lot of commentary. Did he survive this stronger than ever? Is this going to propel him to become a contender in 2016, if not the Republican nominee in 2016? And will he succeed in his plans to raise this issue again come January 15 and maybe shut down the government all over again? Marin Cogan has been writing about Ted Cruz for the National Journal, joins us on our newsline this morning. Hey, Marin, good to have you with us.
Thanks so much for having me.
So, Ted, let me just ask you, first of all, the question. Coming out of this whole shutdown, which everybody agrees, I think, was kind of a fiasco, Ted Cruz, a winner or a loser?
Well, you know, he may be a winner in the sort of value voters circle. He came away the runaway favorite from their straw poll last week. But it is really hard to see after this how there's any path from where he is now, given the damage we've seen, not just to the economy, but the serious damage being recorded to the Republican Party in a number of major polls yesterday, how he comes away from that as the Republican nominee, let alone, you know, the president in 2016. I just don't see how that could happen, and I don't see how the rest of the Republican Party would let that happen, given how angry they are with him. Congress coming out of the polls yesterday with the lowest ratings ever, and the Republican Party with the lowest ratings ever, which can be attributed to the government shutdown. But you know, Marin, there were in the course of this shutdown, there were people ahead of time and all during it on the Republican side, Peter King and others, saying, "This is dumb. We shouldn't be doing this. We can never win this." John McCain said this was a battle we could never win in the first place. And yet those House Republicans followed Ted Cruz all the way to the very end. Yeah, Grover Norquist. 144 Republicans voted with Ted Cruz rather than John Boehner. It's amazing. Grover Norquist put it really well, I think, when he said that Ted Cruz pushed House Republicans into traffic and then wandered away. Yeah. And I thought that was really well put. You know,
that's perfect.
And there's, I suspect that in the House Republican Conference, you know, I spent years up there with them every day as a Hill reporter talking to them. There were a lot more of them who kind of had reservations about the plan that were quieter. But then you had these sort of more conservative Republicans join with Ted Cruz, and they were really, they were really steering the ship. And the reason for that is that John Boehner, from the very beginning, when those guys came in 2010, said, "I'm going to let the House work its will." He wasn't going to rule with a strong hand. It created an opening for someone like Ted Cruz to come in and be the de facto Speaker of the House. Yeah, Speaker Cruz, right? Everybody's been calling him. So you've written about the media with their perceptions of Ted Cruz didn't always get it right. Right. So a number of things were written about Ted Cruz when he first came in. You know, he ran a really exciting primary race, knocked off an establishment sort of choice, almost like an incumbent. People really expected this Lieutenant Governor David Dewhurst to be the next senator. Cruz came in. He had a really exciting life story, very exciting, engaging speaker, very adamant in his conservative views, and there were a lot of things written about him that later turned out to not hold up so well. I think if people were looking really closely, Ted Cruz has never changed, according to the people who have reported on his life story. He's been like this since he was in college. But you know, there were a lot of things written. Not all of them turned out to be true. I think even by the writers. The writers themselves would admit that their predictions about Ted Cruz were a bit hopeful. Well, one of the things that I saw in your piece is that he would be the kind of guy that we've had, you know, sort of like a Lyndon Johnson. There have been people from Texas who were always known for working out deals, right? And he's just the opposite of that. In fact, the Houston Chronicle last week, which endorsed him for Senate in 2012, basically apologized and said we thought he was going to be the sort of Kay Bailey Hutchison person who would go up there and work across the aisle. Right. It's really interesting to watch their sort of evolution on Ted Cruz, because when they endorsed him, this is his last year, keep in mind. These things have all happened. That's right. He's been there. He's been here less than a year. So it's remarkable to watch the change in tone from some of these writers from August 2012 to now. But, you know, they were endorsing him with the expectation that he would go to Washington. So it was kind of wishful thinking on their part. They advised him to take after Kay Bailey, to take after Lloyd Benson, to take after Lyndon B. Johnson. And then last week they were writing how, disappointed they were in him for falling so short of those expectations. Again, I think if you looked at his biography, you could have seen this coming. But part of it is that, we haven't seen a figure like this in American politics in so long. I think people just didn't really imagine that it would get to this point. But yeah, they were very disappointed that he has not followed the tradition of sort of Texas legislators, not only who work across the aisle, but who work to bring funding to Texas and really defend everyone in the state, according to him.
He doesn't seem to be the senator from Texas. He seems to be the senator from Tea Party land, right?
Right. He is driven entirely by ideology and not at all by the sort of the old way of bringing pork home or anything.
But
like
in his interview with Jonathan Karl from ABC News last weekend, he shows no sign of remorse. He thinks this was a hugely successful strategy, and he made it clear that he still has the same vision, which is killing Obamacare and, if necessary, shutting down the government in order to do it. Is he just talking, or does he really believe that?
I think he really believes it, and there was a great telling quote, which my colleague Alex Seiswald picked up on, where he said, "I didn't come to the Senate because I desperately needed 99 new friends," which, as my friend Alex points out, is actually sort of the language of reality TV villains. They're always saying, "I didn't come here to make friends; I came here to win," and that's sort of exactly the approach he is taking to the Senate, which should be scary, I think, to everyone.
Well, long before your time and mine, but the person I hear him compared to most often is Joe McCarthy, who ended up getting censored by his fellow senators, but just the most hated man in Washington, and took them all on and didn't give a damn.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And you're hearing some Republicans in the Senate say the same thing. So, people who have been there for a long time and are in a position to understand this stuff better than we do. So it's really something else. They haven't seen anything like him in a long, long time. The
other thing that I remember during the primary when I heard of this guy, I also thought, from what I had read, that Dewhurst was going to be the lock-in nominee, and then you hear about this challenger, Ted Cruz. But the idea was, well, come on, this is Texas, a big Latino population, and now we get our own, at least half a Latino in a Cruz, and he's going to be there, the leader, charged with immigration and bring the Latinos into the Republican Party. That hasn't worked out either.
Well, yeah, and this is another one of these sort of lazy assumptions that we in the press make. He's Cuban, so he's definitely going to attract Hispanic voters. It turns out Hispanic voters, like the rest of us, care about issues, and Ted Cruz is anathema to many of the issues that they value the most. Healthcare reform, strong majority of Hispanic voters support healthcare reform stronger than the American public as a whole. Immigration reform is a huge issue, and he has been on the opposite side of these issues. So again, the other thing is that he was called the next Marco Rubio a lot, and I think we need a sort of journalistic moratorium on the habit of comparing, the new Cuban politician to the most recent example of a Cuban politician. They turned out to be totally different, but the only similarity is that they were both of Cuban background.
Does Ted Cruz he's got one friend, I guess, in the Senate, right? And with Mike Lee?
Right, he's got Mike Lee. I think that's probably it.
That's about it. Yeah, it seems about right.
Yeah, and the Washington Post reports that there are prominent business leaders by name, willing to stand up in Utah and say that they are going to mount a challenge to Mike Lee because they think he's not the kind of person they want representing Utah either. They want someone in the nature of an Orrin Hatch or an old Bob Bennett, who was willing to, again, solve problems, get things done, reach across the aisle, and so Mike Lee's generated some own problems back home. But everything I hear, Marin, is that Ted Cruz is pretty popular still in Texas. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, he's popular among the people who are, inclined to think that America is in crisis and shutting down the government is just sort of a drop in the bucket, and he's going to continue to be popular among those people. I think his reelection is going to be, it's going to be intense and competitive by all the people who are not in that group of people who would, who would like to see the government shut down. But yeah, sure. Like I said, among the value voters set, and there are a lot of those voters in Texas, he's a hero, and there needs to be, more of him.
He's riding high, yeah. The problem with his reelection is it's 5 years away. Hey,
right.
Marin Cogan, thanks so much, Marin. It's nationaljournal.com. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
So this is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Racing done. I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
Make it 11 minutes now before the top of the hour, the Bill Press Show, the whole gang here. In the next hour, David Brock, who's the founder of Media Matters, will be here in studio with us, as well as Congressman Keith Ellison from Minnesota. Peter.
We got news that Congressman Bill Young from Florida has passed away. That
One day after Gretchen Carlson on Fox News reported that he had passed away.
There was some reports that he had died.
Did he die because she reported it, or did she just have some insight into it?
I'm surprised Fox News didn't say, see, we were right. He did die. We were just a little ahead of the game there. Well, he's passed away. His funeral services are this week. His widow, Beverly Young, sent an email to Charlie Crist, former Florida governor.
Former Republican.
Governor. Sent an email to Charlie Crist and said, quote, "This email is to officially advise you that your presence at my husband's memorial services will be unacceptable." That letter was obtained by the Tampa Bay Times, basically saying, stay away from us, pal.
That's a little harsh.
It's a little cold-blooded.
Yeah. You know, you would think that the widow would have more important things to worry about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if someone wants to be there and grieve, sure. But, you know.
By the way, there is a story, John, that the many members of Congress are flying down there tomorrow for that service on a military plane. And John Boehner's been getting a little grief for allowing that to happen because earlier, I think maybe a year or so ago, he said no more military planes for members of Congress. That a waste of money. I personally, I don't have a problem with members of Congress. He's their colleague. I think he's the oldest living. Not living now, but what was the oldest living member of Congress.
I think that's right.
It's appropriate for them to be there to honor their colleague, and rather than leasing a commercial jet, to have a military jet take them down there, I think is totally appropriate, and that I have no problem with that. I just want to follow up on one thing that we were talking about. Marin Cogan mentioned about members of Congress, and particularly Ted Cruz, having the lowest approval rating now because of the shutdown. It's worse than it's ever been for the Republican Party and for members of Congress. The latest ABC Wash Post poll yesterday showed now that the rating for only 12% of Americans, this is the lowest ever, only 12% of Americans think Congress is doing a good job. What's interesting about that is 12% of Americans are either related to a member of Congress or work for a member of Congress. So that's what that's all about. 63% of Americans, 63% have an unfavorable opinion of the Republican Party. 53% of Americans blame Republicans for the shutdown. The Republican Party really got hammered by the shutdown. And then USA Today yesterday, our friend Susan Page, whom we talk to every Friday, she reported yesterday in their latest poll, 48% of Americans, and get this, 52% of Republicans say that we would be better off if we could fire every single member of Congress, House and Senate, Republicans and Democrats, good and bad, fire them all, send them home, and start off with a whole new clean slate. Right?
I think that's pretty good. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, honestly.
48%, 52% of all Republicans. So, you know, if you are a used car salesman, or if you are maybe an insurance salesman, or if you're a cockroach, it could be worse. It could be worse. You could be a member of Congress.
Yeah.
I have to ask Keith Ellison about that. We'll be right back and tell you what President Obama is up to today.
Follow us on Twitter @BP Show. This is The Bill Press Show.
Hey, what do you say? A big third hour coming up. Too bad you won't get to see it on Free Speech TV, but you can look in, of course, and follow us and follow that third hour on our video stream at TawkrTV. It's youtube.com/Tawker, TAWKR-TV. Congressman Keith Ellison from Minnesota will join us, and David Brock, founder of Media Matters for America. They've got a new book out on the Benghazi hoax. Don't miss it. Third hour coming up. Bill Press Show.
I wish I was in school. If only I had a math test today.
Or a book report to give.
I wish I was in school. I'll stay after class. I'll clean the chalkboard. I'll do extra homework. I'll skip recess. I wish I was in school.
I wish I was in school.
I really wish I was in school.
School ends, but free lunches for your kids don't have to. Find your local food bank at feedingamerica.org/summer meals for help. Together, we're feeding America.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Live video right now at youtube.com/TawkrTV. That's TAWKR-TV. This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, good friend and the founder of Media Matters for America, David Brock, in studio with us at the top of the next hour, and then we'll be joined by Congressman Keith Ellison from Minnesota, co-chair of the House Progressive Caucus. President Obama and the Vice President have a buddy day today, I'm telling you. The whole schedule, they start off getting the presidential briefing at 10:45. Today's lunch day. They do that once a week. Anyhow, they're having lunch together in the private dining room. Then they will both be meeting with the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Prime Minister Sharif, at 2:10. And then the two of them meet with Secretary of the Treasury Jack Lew at 4:15, after which the two of them are getting in the hot tub together. No, I just made that up.
Don't think that's going to happen.
No, but I think by that time they won't have anything more to say to each other. They spend the whole day together at any rate. The press briefing today with Jay Carney will be at noon in the briefing room. I'll be there and I'll tell you all about it tomorrow. Back with David Brock and Keith Ellison.
This is the Bill Press Show. Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Kathleen Sebelius says we're bringing in the best and the brightest. We're going to fix this problem. They'd better, fast. Good morning, everybody. What do you say? It is Wednesday, October 23rd. Welcome to the Bill Press Show. We are coming to you live from our nation's capital and our studio right here on Capitol Hill, just down the street from the United States Capitol building, bringing you up to date on the news of the day here in Washington, around the country, and around the globe. Our job is to tell you what's going on. Your job is to tell us what you think about it all. You know how to do so. Give us a call at 1-800-866-55-PRESS. Every once in a while, a little brain fart. I got the number right. You can also give us your comments on Twitter at BP Show and on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. And it's been, maybe 5 years now that the media landscape has entirely changed in this country, because we have on the left a great media watchdog called Media Matters for America. My good friend, the founder of Media Matters for America, in studio with us. His first visit in studio, many times on the phone. David Brock, good to see you.
Hey, good to see you in person.
Thanks for getting up early for us this morning. I know that's a real challenge for you.
It was. I had a friend call me at 6:15 just to make sure I was up.
We have a special wake up service. We could
yes, I could use.
We have drones. We send it. You join our team here, Peter Ogburn and Dan Henning.
Good morning.
Good morning
with these guys. Alicia Cruz is standing by to take your phone calls, and Cyprian Bolding keeps us looking good on the video stream. Free Speech TV, not with us this third hour. We're still, of course, on your local progressive talk radio station all around the country, coast to coast. And the video stream up at TawkrTV, TAWKR-TV. You get there by going to youtube.com/TawkrTV. So, David, we'll get into, you're here with a new book. David and Ari Rabenhoft from, did I pronounce that correctly?
Yeah, Rabenhoft.
Rabenhoft. From Media Matters, a new book out on the Benghazi hoax, which is extremely important because we've talked so much about the right-wingers. They're still having hearings on Benghazi.
Oh, sure, it's ongoing.
Yeah, it's
the
crazy.
Investigation rolls on. That's right.
This book really lays out the truth about it. I want to get into that with you. But,
sure.
I mean, it just keeps you guys, 24/7 just trying to keep up with all the right-wing propaganda, right?
Oh, absolutely. And obviously, there's so much misinformation about Obamacare out there. And, I was thinking yesterday about the somewhat bad economic news and the problems with the Obamacare website and Benghazi. And what occurred to me was there's a through line here, which is the Republicans try to sabotage the economy. They try to sabotage Obamacare. And if you remember, in Benghazi, they cut funds for U.S. Embassy security, right?
Yes.
So they sabotage it all, and then they come back and try to pin it on Obama.
Oh, it's classic.
Yeah.
Total classic. We'll get into that. And by the way, so yesterday he was up in New York to appear, I think it was on Morning Joe yesterday. Oh, the Today Show, yes. Warren Buffett.
Yeah.
And most people don't know this about Warren Buffett. He's not only the richest man on the planet, I guess, but back in his day, he used to play the ukulele, and he still plays ukulele. There just happened to be a ukulele in the green room at the Today Show, and Warren Buffett picks it up, and he starts entertaining. Here he is.
I'm only a paper boy, just as happy as I can be. Cause the money I make from this, it all goes straight to me. Ain't she sweet? See her walking down the street. Now I ask you very confidentially, ain't she sweet?
So there you go. I don't know. You know, if you're worth,
I like that.
If you're worth $100 gazillion and you're 83 years old,
yeah, why not?
What the hell, right?
You know, Richard Branson, who is also super rich. I mean, he like skydives and races cars and all this type of stuff. Warren Buffett, he plays ukulele, you know? So I guess you just find whatever you want to do.
They asked him, how did you learn to play? And he said he picked it up to impress the ladies because he thought that's how he was going to get a date when he was a teenager. Just by playing the ukulele.
Well,
turns them on.
Those were the days.
The times have changed, I think.
I think that's it. Those were the days.
If you want dates, learn how to play guitar or drums or something. I'm not sure about the ukulele.
All right, David Brock with us. We're talking Benghazi. Keith Ellison, good congressman from Minnesota, leading progressive in the House, will be joining us at the half hour. But first,
this
here we go. The big stories of the day, Dan.
Other headlines making news on this Wednesday. Anthony Weiner's story is heading to television. And not one, but two upcoming dramas. Both Scandal on ABC and Law & Order SVU on NBC are presenting ripped from the headlines episode loosely based on the former mayoral candidate's troubles. Politico reports that on the next episode of Scandal, a crisis manager, Olivia Pope's client, is a sexting lawmaker caught with his pants down. And on SVU tonight, it's a politician who wants to be mayor of New York City. He's accused of sending lewd pictures to a young girl online. His pseudonym is Enrique Trouble, very similar to Carlos Danger.
We've gone from actual oral sex in the Oval Office to tweeting.
Yeah.
Right? And sexting. God.
Apple released its new operating system yesterday called Mavericks, and besides from looking flashy and cool and being free, it might help protect you from the NSA. The Huffington Post reports that a Stanford University PhD student yesterday quickly discovered a new security feature in the new Apple system. When it syncs with your Google accounts, particularly syncing your address books, it's done only in an encrypted form, fixing an issue that left holes open to government spying.
Wow. That's interesting. Yeah, that something is designed to
hopefully circumvent those prying eyes.
By the way, for what it's worth, I started downloading Mavericks an hour and a half ago, and I'm probably 25% of the way done. So I'll let you know how it is. I was going to let you know, but it's not quite there yet.
You don't have Max at Media Matters, do you?
No.
Okay. So you don't have to worry about downloading the entire thing.
In sports, the NCAA handed down a punishment for the University of Miami yesterday for a scandal involving a former sports booster there who ran a Ponzi scheme among other violations over a 10-year period. According to USA Today, the report states the school lacked institutional control in monitoring former booster Nevin Shapiro, but they're not being hit with any postseason football bans because they are just coming off their self-imposed 2-year bowl ban. They are losing 9 scholarships over the next 3 years. Former basketball coach Frank Haith, who is now coaching at Missouri, will have to serve a 5-game suspension.
All right, Dan, thank you. Move it. So, David, what will the Republicans... I guess, what's the there on Benghazi? I mean, the there, right, is there was an attack... 4 Americans were killed, including the ambassador.
Right.
they've since beefed, and because one of the things, they didn't have enough security because they lacked funding.
The Republicans cut it.
And now they beefed up security, and life moves on. Except with this Republican crowd, life never moves on, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are two aspects to the book. One is the way the Republicans and their allies in the conservative media politicized not only a tragedy, but people forget a night of valor. And what they did here really, I think, struck me as, and I've been watching them for years, as particularly unconscionable in the sense that there was, I think, dishonoring the dead. The phony story that the military sat in its hands and did nothing.
Which has been repudiated, right?
That's right, absolutely. Yeah. The idea that Americans were left behind. I mean, that's really an attack on these rescue teams who were really brave and got everybody out in 12 hours. And then the investigative powers and the abuse there, the leaks, the lying to the press, disclosing classified information that put people's lives in danger. So all for partisan gain. And then I think the second piece of this is this is a classic case of journalistic malpractice. So you could start with Fox, which you might expect, but Fox did 85 primetime segments on this phony story that there was a stand-down order issued when every military official who testified said that never happened. One of my favorites was, they were trying to make the case that Obama was disengaged and absent the night of the attacks.
Oh, yeah.
And so the anchor on air asks, indignantly, where was Tom Donilon, the NSC advisor, during this tragedy? And behind the anchor is a picture of Tom Donilon with Obama in the Oval Office.
No,
so yes,
really?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and then it leaked over into the mainstream media. I mean, a reporter at CBS News, Cheryl Atkinson, when Darrell Issa was attacking the Accountability Review Board, which was the independent entity that reviewed all this, he didn't like their conclusions because they didn't find any fault with Obama. They found no fault with Secretary Clinton. So he went out and trashed the review board, which had 2 distinguished public servants at the head of it who had served Republican presidents, 5 CBS stories on that. Then the Inspector General came in and looked at the Accountability Review Board, concluded it was independent, no bias, and no CBS story. So there's blame to go around all the way with the media here, I think.
It also struck me as so apparent that 4 Americans were killed here, and right away it's Obama's fault. Obama's got to resign or kind of whatever.
Yeah.
3,000 people killed at 9/11 under George Bush's watch. I mean, Democrats never said, "Oh, it's all George Bush's fault."
Oh, absolutely.
Terrorist attacks happen.
Yeah, there were 157 attacks on U.S. diplomatic facilities since 1998. Now, most of those were under George W. Bush. And yet Benghazi is the most investigated incident of its kind in recent history. And the question is, why is that? And you're right. The Democrats didn't make a partisan issue out of that. They didn't dishonor the dead and slander the military to get at their political enemies. The Republicans used Benghazi to forward this really character assassination of Obama, that he's a weak president, that he leads from behind, that he is somehow un-American, he sides with the terrorists. And, of course, that's not borne out in the administration's policies whatsoever, which were stronger than George W. Bush's.
What about the charge, and I get this all the time, well, they didn't call in the airstrikes. They could have called in airstrikes, but they didn't do so, and that would have saved the day.
Sure. Look, according to the testimony, Robert Gates, for example, said that every asset that could have been deployed was deployed, and what the Republicans are saying after the fact, if that had been done, it was dangerous. And so there's really nothing to it. And
some of those planes, right, were so far away, wherever they were based in Italy, that they couldn't get there.
And Leon Panetta said logistically impossible. So everything was done that could have been done, according to all the testimony.
The other thing that I've heard so often, because some of the reporters in the briefings were picking up the right-wing propaganda, and they were just pounding.
Right.
Is I'm going to come back to what you said about President Obama's role. They were demanding a minute-by-minute account of that night.
Right.
Everything the president did, said, or whatever, minute by minute, as if he didn't care or wasn't on the job.
That's right. So they were trying to say, essentially, I think what it really was is that he didn't care, that Americans were dying, and he's not one of us, so he really doesn't care that these deaths are happening. And, we've reviewed what happened that night. He met with Panetta. He had all the military briefings. There was no disengagement, and there's a long list in our book of, they made the same accusation of Secretary Clinton, everything she did that night, very engaged, both very steady hands. So that was one of these Fox-inspired hoaxes that we take apart in the book, and almost all of them can be traced in some way to the Fox News Channel.
The name of the book is, the title of the book is, I love it, The Benghazi Hoax. It's exactly what it was, The Benghazi Hoax. I mean, yeah, that happened, but it's the story that the right wing has tried to put out, which is the Benghazi Hoax. David Brock and Ari Rabenhoft from Media Matters. How do people get it? It's an ebook, correct?
Yes, it's an ebook.
That's the fastest way to get a book out these days.
That's right. The way the publishers work, by the time you get the book out, it's not as timely as it should be.
It would be 2015.
This is our first ebook, and the easiest thing to do is 99 cents on Amazon, and you can get the book, and it takes you through these 15 hoaxes and how to debunk each one.
It just came out yesterday, too,
yes,
folks.
That's right.
Just available yesterday, so this is brand new, hot off the press, as we might say. Amazon.com, The Benghazi Hoax, only 99 cents for the ebook. David Brock is with us. Got a question or comment? You know how to do it. 866-55-PRESS. We'll be right back.
Get social with Bill Press. Like us at Facebook.com/Bill Press Show. This is The Bill Press Show. streaming live video right now at youtube.com/TawkrTV. That's TAWKR-TV. This is The Bill Press Show.
25 minutes after the hour, Congressman Keith Ellison in the next segment, next half hour here with us in studio. So this is very, very important. A very important new book out because we all get asked about this Benghazi mess, and the Republicans are really using this. You got to know the answers. All the answers are right here in the Benghazi Hoax. Just came out yesterday. It's an ebook. Get it for $99 on Amazon. I mean, it's
99
just
cents.
99 cents. What am I saying? Whoa. Thank you, David.
I mean, you could buy 99 copies of it.
That's
true. That's what I had in
Give
mind.
Them to all your friends.
Sure.
99 cents.
Holiday season is upon us.
Better yet, co-author David Brock, founder of Media Matters for America, here in studio with us. So, David, did Susan Rice, was it a mistake to send Susan Rice out, not blaming her, but to send her out with on all the shows right after Benghazi saying, you know, that basically there was nothing we could have done? I mean, she's gotten a lot of flack for that.
She has. So, listen, here's what happened.
At the time, she said what we knew at the time,
That's right. So when she went out there, first of all, the conspiracy theory here is that she was trying to hide the fact that there was terrorism involved. So there are a couple things about that. One, the president, before she went on the Sunday shows, referred to Benghazi as an act of terror twice.
Yes. I was there in the Rose Garden when he did, by the way.
That's right, the day after. Then if you look at the transcripts of all the shows, you see she allowed for the possibility that Al-Qaeda was involved. She didn't rule that out, said information was incomplete. And the reality is, you know, people can differ in their opinion on this, but the fact is, nothing changes the fact that Petraeus testified that those talking points originated with the intelligence community. They signed off on them, not the political aides. And the reason some classified information was withheld was to avoid tipping off the terrorists to a criminal investigation. Whether that was right or wrong, people could differ, but that's the truth. And I think they should have withheld that classified information, not tip the terrorists off. I don't know what the Republicans wanted Susan Rice to do. Go out there and divulge classified information like they did in their investigation and endanger people's lives?
But she also said in her testimony every time that this is what we know so far.
That's right.
This could change.
Absolutely, she said that.
This is right now. This is what the information that we got.
That's
that she was given by the intelligence agency. So again, what more could she have done?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. So this isn't over, right? Are there any more hearings scheduled, and it's going to go on and on, huh?
The investigation rolls on. The Republicans are not going to let go of this. There are interest groups out there. We talk about one, this group America Rising, which is out there to trash Hillary Clinton. Now, let's admit that the political salience of this, as the Republicans have told many in the press, is possibly Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential bid. And so they put out a refutation the other day of our book. Every fact that America Rising put out is a lie. And the question is, why does the media quote these frauds?
Yeah. If you want the truth, it's the Benghazi Hoax. Pick it up on Amazon.com. David Brock, thank you for coming in. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
This is the Bill Press Show. streaming live video right now at youtube.com/TawkrTV. That's TAWKR-TV. This is The Bill Press Show.
Hey, here we go. 33 minutes after the hour, coming to you live from our nation's capital. The Bill Press Show brought to you today by the American Federation of Teachers, the good men and women of the AFT, making a difference in America's classrooms every day, you bet, under President Randy Weingarten, one of the great progressives and leaders of the American organized labor movement, and one of the great progressives and leaders in the United States Congressman Keith Ellison joining us again in studio this morning. Hey, Congressman, always good to see you.
Good to be here, my brother. Hey,
welcome.
Can I tell you about Randy Weingarten a little bit?
She's great.
She is great. We had a shutdown rally last week in the rain, pouring down, and here's Randy Weingarten, undaunted, standing up for workers, standing up for federal workers, didn't care nothing about that rain. She is there. She's in. She's committed. She's awesome. So.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I love that phrase, shut down, right?
That's right.
So what did Republicans get out of this shutdown?
Well, in terms of what did they get out of it, what
did America get out of it?
Well, America got $24 billion expense. America got $24 billion expense. America went more than 2 weeks trying to get questions answered with regard to their Social Security. America got federal workers who are so important to our community laid off. America got researchers trying to find answers to serious diseases put on hold. That's what America got. And as a matter of fact, Bill, I tell you, I want to invite you and whoever else cares to come. Today, we're gonna honor our federal employees in the Rayburn building today, 354 in the basement of Rayburn. Room
Good, good for you. No,
because those I tell you this, the shutdown was altogether bad, but there was one silver lining, and that is that people got to realize how much we need our federal workers.
Yeah.
So. All of this, and these folks, this shutdown is particularly bad because it came on the heels of the sequester where people were furloughed for several days, freezing in their pay for 4 years, and then also, chipping away at their pension. So, federal workers who do so much for so many have not gotten any respect from this House majority, and it's time that it comes to an end.
And on the Republican Party get out of the shutdown? Not much, huh?
No, they actually took some hits, but the real issue, here's the deal, though. They're betting and hoping and praying that America has amnesia, right? And we're not going to allow that to happen. One of the biggest challenges, Bill, is that when I talk to people about this, they sometimes say things like, well, you guys need to find a way to get along. I'm like, we're trying to get along. They won't get along. That's why the shutdown happened. They said that unless we delay the Affordable Care Act for a year, then they're going to shut down the government. We said no, and that's why we had the shutdown. And they had to abandon that ridiculous demand. And nobody has ever said the Affordable Care Act can't use some improvements. What can't, right? We improved the 1964 Civil Rights Act. The next year we had the Voting Rights Act. A few years later we had the equal housing. We've always done better as we learn more. But look, these people don't want to improve it. They want to destroy it. And they want to send us back to the days when people would go bankrupt just because they got sick, and we will not return to that.
One of the impacts of the shutdown is, as you saw, the Washington Post, ABC Washington Post poll yesterday showed that the approval rating now for Congress is 12%, the lowest it's been in 40 years, which unfortunately, right, it just goes across broad brush across everybody instead of the people who really deserve the blame.
You're so right, Bill, because Republicans took a beating in the polls, and they deserved it. But they dragged the whole institution down. And in a way that helps like the billionaire puppet masters like the Koch brothers, because they do not like the concept of representative democracy. And so if the whole institution goes down in the esteem of the people, that heightens their case. Oh, well, we should just run this place like a business. I mean, you could see the insipid fascism, right? I mean, what I mean is, how long will it be before one of these characters says, well, we can't have all this bickering in Congress. We need a strong man who really cares for the nation to make all the decisions, and this would be right. I mean, that's how it happens. That you create enough frustration with democratic institutions, and then somebody says, skip the whole thing, we're just going to let an individual run it. And we've got to be, there's no guarantee that won't happen. The only guarantee is that we're vigilant and that we stick to this democratic process.
Now, the big question is, we only got a temporary reprieve, Congressman, right? I mean, until January 15, the debt ceiling February 7, but in the meantime, you got another looming government shutdown January 15. I mean, do you get any sense that you're that those 144 House Republicans?
You said it, 144. Most Republicans didn't vote for
reopening
the government.
Who voted with Ted Cruz instead of with John Boehner, or instead of with the American people. Any idea that they're going to see the light?
I don't know. I mean, our best hope is that John Boehner, who is a real conservative, by the way. No, he's no liberal. He's not a member of the Progressive Caucus. I know that. John Boehner needs to look at the 87 people who he can work with.
Yeah.
And the Democrats and try to fashion something that can move the country forward.
That's the only way out.
That's the only way out. And I hope he doesn't take to the 11th hour to figure it out, right?
Doesn't have to.
Doesn't have to. I mean, it's writing on the wall now, and so that's the thing. We could avoid a shutdown, but it's going to take a degree of cooperative spirit that has been rare so far. Now
we also have as part of this this group that was part of the deal was this. We finally have a budget committee, and we finally have a budget committee which is looking at some of the real issues and what the president hopes to come out with a balanced approach.
Right.
Of course, the Republicans are talking about, well, we have to cut entitlements, and so they've got Social Security right up
in the crosshairs,
front and center again, right?
Yeah, they do, but that is one dog that will not hunt, man. We're not going to tolerate a cut to Social Security. Social Security is perhaps the most successful program for income security the country has ever seen. It's not just for seniors. It's also for people who are on survivor benefits.
I mean, it has lifted so many people out of poverty.
Well,
right?
Let me tell you. I mean, in my own state of Minnesota, 1 in 6 Minnesotans received Social Security benefits in 2012, which is about 5.2% of the state's total personal income. And in Social Security has lifted over 300,000 Minnesotans out of poverty in 2011. And Social Security has reduced elderly poverty rate from 45.2% down to 6.9%. So nearly half
down to 6.9%. Yeah.
So
and that story, I'm sure, with
across the country,
a little difference, is true in every state.
In every state, I mentioned my own state because I know it that best, but I can tell you without a doubt that from state to state, from California to Maine to Florida to Washington State, everywhere Social Security has made a meaningful difference in the lives of people, including our seniors, also including young families who may have lost one of their earners on survivor benefits, and not to mention people with disabilities. Now, the change CPI would hurt more than just folks on Social Security. It would also hurt disabled veterans. So the change CPI is a benefit cut. It's a meaningful benefit cut. And here's the thing. So many folks who are living comfortably have no idea what poverty is. So they don't understand how precious $5 or $50 is in the budget of a low-income senior. But the reality is, if a senior has a bump in a copay or anything, that could throw their entire budget off. And people think, well, maybe the seniors should take a cut because what about the young people? They need some money too. Well, look, nobody is going to let mom and dad go without. So if you cut Social Security, you're going to cut into the family budget because I for sure am taking care of my mom. You know what I mean? And so it really, the seniors have, this is an earned benefit. They've earned it. Give them their due. And this change CPI is an inaccurate measure of inflation for seniors anyway. Do you have a second for me to explain why?
Well, I do. Okay. I do. But I just want to point. But the problem is that President Obama once put it on the table, right?
Well, you know what? I don't believe he really believes in it. I think what he was trying to do was lift the sequester, so he threw it out there when he shouldn't have
at that time.
And I don't think progressives should think, oh, Obama sold us. He didn't. What he did is I think he made a negotiating mistake, which is he threw out something that he didn't think the Republicans would take to show how unreasonable they were. Well, I think that's dangerous, and I don't think he should have done it. But I am confident that Obama is in support of income security for seniors, and we're trying to just let him know early on that Social Security is not going to be a bargaining chip in this thing.
Yeah,
done deal. And but I do believe that there should be some adjustments to Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. One. What if we lifted the cap?
Totally.
I mean,
totally.
You only pay Social Security up to about $113,000. Lift the cap. What if we added carried interest in Social Security taxation? So for example, right now, the only Social Security withholding is from people's paychecks.
Yes.
And from businesses that contribute. But if your income is like, Warren Buffett or Romney,
investments
from your investments and stuff, you're not hit with Social Security on that. So what if we included that? That would solve a lot of problems. We would never talk about And then here's the other thing, folks, please listen to this. Social Security does not contribute to the deficit. Social Security is a program that is solvent until 2033. There is no immediate crisis with regard to Social Security. Now let's talk about Medicare, if we may. Now Medicare, for example.
You know what? I'm going to ask you to hold there, so we can take a break and come back. But
sure.
that's just such an important point that you just made about the solvency of Social Security. People say, "Oh, it's going to bankrupt. It's bankrupt. It's going to bankrupt tomorrow." It's not true.
It's a bunch of Chicken Littles.
You got it.
Sky is falling.
Congressman Keith Ellison, he is the co-chair of the Progressive Caucus. Whoa, what did I say? Watch out, he's right. Of the Progressive Caucus in the United States House from Minnesota. He'll be right back and be glad to take your calls, talking all the good progressive issues, including protecting Social Security here at 866-55-PRESS.
Follow us on Twitter @BP Show. This is The Bill Press Show. live video right now at youtube.com/TawkrTV. That's TAWKR-TV. This is The Bill Press Show.
We got it. It's 11 minutes before the top of the hour here on a Wednesday morning, October 23rd, with the whole team and Congressman Keith Ellison from Minnesota here in the studio with us, talking about the important issues of the day, particularly from a that's who we are, progressive point of view. Peter, you had a quick...
Well, I had to ask the congressman. I know this is a sore spot, but Monday night, the winless New York Giants took on the one-win Minnesota Vikings, and the Giants won their first game against the Minnesota Vikings. Congressman from Minnesota.
Pain.
How you feeling about the season?
Well, I think, we got nowhere to go but up, right?
That's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it.
We could certainly there's a lot of room for improvement. I tell you this, the quarterback decision was the big one of Monday night. Yeah. You had Castle, you had Ponder, and then they bring in Freeman. And Freeman does have all the tools to be a great quarterback. But he can throw, but he can't pass, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to put it.
He can whip he can throw that ball with great authority, but he can't throw it to anyone, right? So that's the problem. See, that's kind of the point.
He's halfway there. He's halfway there.
But look, I can tell you, I'm a devout Vikings fan. I'm bleeding purple over here, but boy, are we
bleeding a lot this season.
I'm bleeding a lot. I'm bleeding all over the place. But Marcus Sherrills ran one back. Did you see that?
Look,
that was awesome.
Keep hope alive, right?
That's it. You got to look on the bright side.
Dan's been keeping hope alive, and the Giants finally won a game.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, they did.
Right,
it was our pop.
Okay, there we go. I want to come back.
Back to the other stuff.
I want to come back to focus on what the progressive agenda is in Congress today. And the big question to me is, with this looming another fight over the government shutdown on January 15, another looming fight over the debt ceiling on February 7, is it going to be possible to get anything else done? And what about immigration reform?
Well, immigration reform is a top flight issue for me and also the Progressive Caucus. We, several of us, demonstrated our commitment.
You got arrested on the mall, right?
We got arrested.
You and John Lewis.
Me and John Lewis and Gutierrez and Grijalva and Jan Schakowsky.
Yep.
I hope I'm not leaving anybody out. Oh, and Charlie Rangel.
Oh, Charlie.
Oh, Charlie.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Charlie was our jailhouse lawyer. He's so funny. And also Joe Crowley.
Oh, really?
Big Joe. It was tough because we were in the back of that little van, that they put you in. And Joe, who's about 6'5", this is one of those days I said, I'm glad I'm short, man, because it was rough in the back of that thing. But the thing is, when I went back home, people told me, they said, look, you're right. We need to keep the pressure on for an immigration reform.
Amen.
And you know what? When the U.S. Chamber and the AFL-CIO can come together around an issue, that's a big deal. And I don't think we should squander this opportunity. And let's face it, 11 million people living in the shadows, hoping that they don't get a knock on the door from ICE, is not good for this country. You can't deport 11 million people, even though we're deporting people at a record rate nowadays. And so the best thing to do is give folks a status. They're here anyway. And an undocumented worker is an exploited worker.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can put a floor on the wage rate, that would mean that everybody's wages would rise. But we just got to make sure that of those 11 million, that they have somebody to complain to about wage theft, about abuses on the job, about mistreatment. Now they can't because they're out of status. But if they were in status, they would have rights like other workers. We should fix this problem. We should fix it now. High-tech business, they need immigration.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ag folks need immigration. Families need immigration. Dreamers need immigration reform. So, I can tell you, my district is ready, and in every other district in this country is ready too. It's just that we got some people who are still waving the flag of nativism, and quite frankly, and it's too bad. But persistence is going to win the day.
And people are waving the flag. We got all these budget stuff. We got all these battles,
right.
and as an excuse for not doing anything else. We can't let that happen. I know you won't let that happen. Congressman
Can
Keith
I say
Ellison.
one last thing?
Right, go for it.
The key here to this whole conference battle that's supposed to do back on December 15th is to put a pro-job agenda in place. We got to get jobs in there. That is how we grow the economy. That is how we pay down the debt. And by the way, the deficit is at a record low. They can't use that excuse anymore. So thank you so much for having me, and I'd love to come back.
Let's get back on jobs. That's what John Boehner said. That's what it was going to be all about when he got elected,
what happened to that?
Congressman Keith Ellison, thank you, man. Thanks for coming in.
Anytime.
I'll be back with a quick parting shot.
This is the Bill Press Show. The Parting Shot with Bill Press. This is the Bill Press Show.
Well, you know, when you do a good job, sometimes people don't appreciate it, but when you do a bad job, everybody knows it and they hold you responsible. That's certainly the case with members of Congress today. Public opinions show Congress with the lowest ratings ever. The latest ABC Washington Post poll, 85% of Americans have an unfavorable opinion of Congress. Only 12% of Americans have a favorable opinion. 12%. That makes members of Congress less popular than a colonoscopy, gonorrhea, or cockroaches. Now, of course, and 48% of Americans, by the way, say we'd be better off if we could just throw everybody out of Congress, Republicans and Democrats, and start from scratch. Of course, we can't do that, and we won't do that. So I've got a better idea. How about if we just throw all members of the Tea Party out of Congress? And then for sure, Congress could start functioning again like it used to. Hey, folks, have a great Wednesday. Come on back and see us again tomorrow.
This is the Bill Press Show.